I was sitting in the HR office when Janet, our benefits coordinator, slid a piece of paper across her desk with a look I'd never seen before. Pity mixed with confusion. "Sarah," she said carefully, "your 401k withdrawal request was processed 6 months ago. The account balance is 0. My stomach dropped. I hadn't made any withdrawal request. That's when I learned my parents had stolen $127,000 from my retirement account. What I didn't know was that my brother, the one they'd given everything to, had been trying to fix it all along. My name is Sarah Chen, and for 12 years, I'd been putting away 15% of every paycheck. While my friends bought new cars and went on fancy vacations, I drove a 2009 Honda and brought lunch from home. I was 34, and I'd finally saved enough for a down payment on a house. That's why I was in Janet's office, to ask about a legitimate hardship withdrawal. "There must be some mistake," I said, my voice barely steady. "Can you check again?" Janet turned her monitor toward me. The transaction history didn't lie. Withdrawal request April 15, 2023. Amount, $127,438.22. Electronic signature, Sarah M. Chen. Secondary authorization, power of attorney, Margaret Chen. Margaret Chen. My mother. "The POA was filed when you had your surgery last year," Janet explained. "It was supposed to be temporary, for medical decisions, but it looks like it covered financial matters too." I remembered that surgery. Emergency appendectomy. I'd been in so much pain I'd signed whatever my mother put in front of me. She'd said it was just hospital forms. I sat in my car in the parking lot for 20 minutes before I could even turn the key. Then I drove straight to my parents' house, the house I'd helped them refinance 3 years ago when Dad lost his job. My brother Jason's car was in the driveway. A Tesla Model 3. New. Mom answered the door with her book club smile. "Sarah. What a nice surprise. We're just having lunch, you emptied my 401k. Her smile didn't even flicker. That's when I knew. She'd been expecting this conversation. "Let's talk in the living room," she said quietly. Dad was there, suddenly very interested in his newspaper. Jason stood up from the dining table, his face pale. "You had no right," I said, my voice shaking. "That was 12 years of my life. That was my future." "It was for family," Mom said, as if that explained everything. Jason had an opportunity. A real chance to build something. He needed capital for his startup, so you stole from me? "We borrowed it," Dad interjected, finally looking up. "It's not stealing if we plan to pay you back." "With what?" I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "You're both retired. You have no income except Social Security." Jason still hadn't said a word. He stood frozen by the table, gripping the back of a chair. "Jason's company is going to be huge," Mom continued. "It's a tech platform that connects, well, it's complicated, but the investors said, I don't care what the investors said. That was my money. You forged my signature." "We had power of attorney," Dad said defensively. "It was legal. It was fraud, and you know it." I looked at Jason. My little brother. The golden child who got a car for his 16th birthday while I worked 2 jobs through college. The one whose student loans they paid off while I was still drowning in mine. "Say something," I demanded. He opened his mouth, then closed it. Then finally, "Sarah, I'm sorry. I didn't know they were going to, don't lie for them. I'm not. I asked for a loan from them and they said they had savings. They didn't have savings, Jason. They had access to my savings." I left before I said something I couldn't take back. Or before I started crying in front of them. I didn't speak to any of them for 4 months. I consulted with 2 lawyers. Both said the same thing: yes, it was fraud. Yes, I could sue. But it would be expensive, time-consuming, and given that it was family and they'd technically had POA, I might not win. Even if I did, they had no assets to seize. I'd be throwing good money after bad. I moved into a cheaper apartment. I started over. Every time I checked my email and saw my mother's subject lines, "Please call us, we need to talk, don't throw away this family," I deleted them without reading. Jason tried texting a few times. I blocked his number. Then, 3 weeks ago, I got a notification from my bank. Deposit, $5,000. Source, external transfer, J. Chen. I stared at my phone. Then another notification. Scheduled recurring transfer set up. Amount, $5,000. Frequency, monthly. Source, J. Chen. What was Jason doing? The next day, a FedEx envelope arrived at my apartment. Inside was a notarized payment plan, a spreadsheet, and a letter in Jason's handwriting. "Sarah, I know you won't take my calls, so I'm sending this. You need to know the truth. I didn't find out where the money came from until 2 months after they gave it to me. I asked Mom and Dad for $20,000. They gave me $127,000 and said it was an early inheritance that they'd been saving for years. I believed them because I wanted to believe them. Because it was easier. When I found out what they'd actually done, I confronted them. Mom said you'd never miss it and that you were already successful and that this was evening things out between us. I told them they had to tell you. They refused. They said you'd overreact and ruin the family. So I'm telling you, I've been paying you back since September. Every month, $5,000. At this rate, it'll take me just over 2 years to return everything, plus the market growth you lost. I've calculated the average return the S&P 500 made during those 6 months, it's in the spreadsheet. I sold the Tesla. I moved into a studio apartment. I'm taking a salary of $40,000 from my company instead of $95,000, and every extra dollar goes to you. This doesn't fix what they did. It doesn't fix what I benefited from. But it's the only thing I can do. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I just needed you to know that I'm trying to make this right. Jason. I read the letter 3 times. Then I looked at the spreadsheet. He documented everything, the original amount, the calculated lost earnings, the payment schedule. There were already 4 payments logged. $20,000. I'd thought the first one was a mistake and hadn't even checked my account since. He'd been paying me back in secret for almost 5 months. I called Jason. He answered on the first ring. "Why didn't you tell me?" I asked. "Would you have accepted it if you knew?" He was right. I wouldn't have. They should be paying this back, not you. They can't. But I can. He paused. "Sarah, what they did was unforgivable. I don't expect you to forgive me either. But that was your money. Your future. And I'm going to give it back, every cent, whether you ever speak to me again or not." We talked for 2 hours. He told me about his company, actually told me, not the sanitized version for our parents. It was struggling. The investors had pulled out. He was probably going to have to shut it down. "Then how are you going to keep paying me back?" I asked. "I already got a job offer. Software engineering at a Fortune 500. It starts next month. The pay is good. I'll keep the schedule." Last week, I met Jason for coffee. The first time I'd seen him face to face since that awful day in our parents' living room. "Have you talked to them?" he asked. "No. Have you?" "Only once. I told them what I was doing. Told them they owed you an apology and full accountability." He stirred his coffee. "Mom said I was betraying the family. Dad said I was being manipulated by you. I'm sorry. Don't be. I'm done being their retirement plan and their do-over child." He looked up at me. "I'd rather have my sister back. If she'll have me. I won't pretend everything is perfect now. I'm still angry. I still lost opportunities and time I can't get back. I still have nightmares about being 70 years old with nothing. But Jason's 6th payment cleared yesterday. $5,000, exactly on schedule. And my brother and I are rebuilding something our parents almost destroyed, trust. Mom left me a voicemail last week. She'd heard Jason and I were talking again, and she wanted to put this whole ugly mess behind us and move forward as a family. I deleted it. Because here's what I've learned: family isn't who shares your DNA or who raised you. Family is who shows up. Who takes accountability. Who makes things right even when it costs them everything. My parents emptied my 401k and never looked back. But my brother? He's giving me back more than money. He's giving me back my faith that not everyone in my family is broken. And that, I'm learning, is worth more than $127,000.